I have wanted a Super Mario Bros. 2 style in Super Mario Maker forever. And we finally got it, sort of. As it turns out, we got the Super Mario Bros. 2 mushroom, which does change your character into a sprite from Mario Bros. 2 and giving them some of the same physics as in the original game, including the ability to pick up enemies. So I thought it'd be fun to try and recreate a stage from Super Mario Bros. 2 to see how close to the original game we could get, and then things kind of spiraled out of control from there. So basically, I recreated World 1-1 from Mario 2 with a few extra additions here and there. Now, before we get to it, I highly encourage you to check out the stage for yourself using the code on the screen right now, because I really did design the stage to tell a story, as well as offer a few surprises to those familiar with the original game, and I think it's much more enjoyable to experience that for yourself rather than in video form. But in any case, to try and offer you that first-timer's perspective, instead of walking you through the stage myself, we're going to show you a playthrough by John of his first time through the stage, to kind of give you an idea of the reaction I was trying to elicit from those playing the stage for the first time. But don't worry, I'll be back as soon as John's done. That way I can walk you through how exactly I built the stage and my thought process every step of the way. So with all that out of the way, let's get to John's playthrough. Take it away, John.
I love Wart in the thumbnail. I'm kind of expecting Wart to make a cameo now. It's almost like this game didn't give us Wart, so Andre's given us Wart himself. But Mario Maker 2 doesn't have a lot of Mario Bros. 2 elements. So I'm curious how he's done this. Like, for starters, this part here isn't from Mario 2. Like, I guess you start from the sky, so... Oh, wait, what? What's going on? I don't know what this part is either. Oh, well, let's just check over here first, make sure I'm not missing something. Yeah, this is blocked off, okay. Well, I guess you fall from the sky, though, so maybe we're gonna fall from the door, like in Mario 2? Let's see. Yes! Oh, you know what I love? We've just gone from the Mario 1 store. We've taken a portal from Mario 1 to Mario 2, and we screwed up immediately. I'm sorry. Hopefully there's another mushroom somewhere. There we go, immediately. And here we go. This is basically the start of Super Mario Bros. 2. Are these turnips? Oh. Let's get more space. Beautiful. I love that. And you pluck them from the ground too, so like, you can't actually touch them because of where they are. I can run over these guys and make no impact on me. Really wait. Have you done the bonus room too? Let's check this out. Yes! So in Super Mario Bros. 2, you'd throw down a potion. But he's given us the same experience by just, having a P-switch. That's awesome. Oh no. Is there another P-switch? Or are we doomed? Oh, there we are, okay. We're not doomed yet. I didn't expect this to make the cut. Honestly, I expected a few things to be cut because a lot of Mario Bros. 2 elements aren't in the game. But the way you've recreated them already is super impressive. Power blocks! Power blocks were in Mario 2, so that makes a lot of sense. The bridge has been done quite interestingly. So in Mario 2, there'd be like a looping bridge. But you can't really do that in Mario Maker 2, so I guess compromises have to be made, but I love the compromise made here, though. I even have the water dripping down. It's not functional as a level gimmick, but actually, will it be? Can we step on these blocks as they fall down? I guess you probably could. It'd be dangerous if you do, but it's a super cool way of just reflecting that visually, at least. Now, what are we collecting these for? Is there a purpose for those? Oh, the door. I guess we need to get more of these for the door? Oh god. Okay, he went back. It's alright. Ah, there we are. Sweet. And I guess we go underground now, right? Though, I think we've used too many of our styles to actually go underground, but still. Does the job. Now, if... Oh, okay, we're alive. If I remember correctly, there's a bomb bit in Mario 2. Yeah, here it is. And that makes a lot of sense with bob-bombs. But yeah, in Mario 2, you'd pull out a regular bomb and throw it at these bricks. Oh, we got one. If we get hit again, we can technically squeeze through there. But I want to try and do it properly, though. Alright, and... No. No! Okay, I guess our choice is to get hit, then. We can try and squeeze through. Is this what you wanted, Andre? Is this what you intended? I hope it was what you intended, man. Now... Oh no! He's made sure we can't do that! Oh no! That would have taken us straight to Birdo as well. He's seen our intentions. He's not okay with it. Though in Mario 2, you would have to do a charge jump there as well, so it does make sense within the theming of the game as well. Now, is there another... Oh, there's some secret coins up here. I wonder, can we make that jump from up here too? Let's see. Try jumping from... No. Not quite. Yeah, okay, we'll just go through the pipe. So in Mario 2, you'd keep going up, and you go into this sort of vertical section here, which I'm surprised you managed to include. You've really made the most out of your space here. What were the enemies around this part, though? I can't quite remember what they were. But yeah, this is a super cool way around it. So in Mario 2, there'll be like some very slow scrolling with each jump. And it feels pretty good to just smoothly do this. And they'd move around as well, with enemies going up and down them. God, this is perfect. What are you? Oh, is that to make sure we can't scroll through there? Oh, it's Birdo! Oh, I forgot Birdo had that move. Quite often forget that Birdo can... Oh wait, do we actually throw the cannonballs back at him? Yes! Yes, that's so cool! Yes! Amazing. Alright, I think that should be the end. We go through the little weird jaw. Hang on, there's a checkpoint. What have you done? What have you done? What, you put Wart in here? Dude, this is level 1. We can't fight Wart yet. What are you thinking? You've lost your mind. There we go. There's one. So I guess he's going to need like 3, right? Oh, there we are. How many more hits does he need? We've got the rhythm again. I'm hoping it's one more hit. Okay, alright. Die! You're a monster, Wart. This is why you're not in Smash. I'm running out of time. Can we do this? There we go! Alright, woof. That was way harder than it should have been for me. Alright, is this the end, or are you giving us more bosses? What have you done to us, Seegers? Oh, I love this! You have to go through the dream. Oh, did I miss a bunch there? We may have. Let's go back a moment. Okay, I'm not missing much. Alright. However, can I go through any of these pipes? Okay, no secrets here. Alright. I love this music so much. I'm so happy to put this in this game. Alright, fellas, that is Andre's Super Mario Maker 2 iteration of Super Mario Bros. 2 1-1 and the ending of Mario 2. Props to you for making this level. This is super impressive stuff.
Aw, thank you so much, John, for the kind words. I'm so glad you enjoyed my stage, considering I spent so stupid long on it. I worked pretty much every day since the update came out on what started off as a simple idea, being just how closely can I recreate a Mario 2 stage in Super Mario Maker 2 using the SMB2 mushroom, and it turned into something a little bit crazier, with story elements, a few twists here and there, parts of the stage that didn't even exist before, or, like taking you to the Wart battle, for instance. So yeah, it's been pretty crazy. But yeah, I thought I'd take some time to just walk you through my stage, how I came to the some of the ideas I had, and how I ended up arranging the stage. And yeah, of course, this will be probably pretty scattershot as I tend to be in these, so apologies in advance. And I'm also using the controller, which I hate using, so please forgive me if I make any mistakes during this. Alright, so first of all, the idea entirely began around how can I create a plucking mechanic in Mario 2, or in Mario Maker 2? Because having the mushroom, of course, as you already know, lets you pick up enemies and throw them. But as part of that, I had to get the turnips in there, and I had to figure out, like, how can I do that? And and as you can see, I came across a few different ideas, a few different ways of doing this. One, I realized that that these guys actually function almost entirely like turnips, where if you miss, they'll disappear. Whereas the other enemies, if you throw them, they'll continue to exist as enemies, and they'll just continue walking around. Whereas turnips, they're gone for good. So the dry bones are perfect, they collapse and they're gone. Secondly, to mimic how to pluck them out of the ground, I realized, okay, well, I gotta put them in the ground for one, but then that created a few issues where where they'd be in a ditch where you could fall into the ditch, or enemies could fall into the ditch, and it just didn't work. So then I had the idea of adding the donut lift, which had 2 perks to it. One, it still acts as a platform, so even after you get rid of it, the enemy, will come back and it'll continue to act as ground for both you and the enemies. But 2, it actually added a delay to the plucking, which feels just like the game itself, especially if you're playing as Mario, who wasn't the fastest plucker. So the timing worked out really well on that. Next, in case you're wondering why I used mushroom platforms as the terrain, it's because I wanted to give it a little bit of a different texture from the hills, which also is another reason why I'm doing this at night, is because at night is the only time that there's a platform, or some solid platform of this type, that looks like the mountains from Mario 2. They look almost identical. So while the game itself didn't take place at night, I found it kind of fitted my theme for a couple different reasons. One, it looks similar but different at the same time, which fits my theme, and also it feels a little bit more of a nightmare, which again works for for the nature of my world. Next up, we have these, we have Goombas, or Goombrats, which take the place of Shy Guys, because these guys walk back and forth on platforms. Otherwise, Goombas just fall off, and Shy Guys don't do that. Shy Guys walk back and forth on the same platform, so Goombrats are perfect for it, and they otherwise function just as Shy Guys, allowing you to pick them up, chuck them, and they'll even continue walking around afterward. Next! Oh, one more thing I forgot to mention. I don't know if you noticed this. Every time I was able to, for the things you pluck out of the ground, I put a little, stalk sticking out of the ground, which I accomplished by putting a brick 2 below, which you can kind of see more evidently with the P-block there, which is why there is a brick beneath it, also to support the P-block. And yeah, I thought that was a little fun touch. It's like you're actually plucking turnips out of the ground. You can see it there. So those are created randomly, of course. I had to find a random one and apply that to every brick applicable. Now, whenever there's a background, unfortunately, you're not going to see that later on when I have backgrounds that exist behind the scenery. But, whatever. It works for the get-go. Next up, so for the P-block, you can't pluck P-blocks. So to mimic, and there's also no of the magic potions in this game to create doors. So to mimic it, I put a P-block right below the surface, which turns out if you just step on it, it activates it. So that was close enough. So that creates a P door that we can go through. And that puts you here, which I mimicked the color scheme, or tried to, of the original game by turning the mountain. I used a different colored background rather than the hill. I turned it into the bricks, which I thought kind of worked. And then I also, it had the shadowy look to it. And then I also kind of inverted the color scheme of the platforms below to be white, which I thought was fun, which again kind of worked like the original game, a little bit. Now there's one major issue here, which you may have noticed. And actually, so the major issue, well, 2 things. God, I'm all over the place with these, I'm so sorry. Is I wanted to put some kind of award here, there used to be like a dark cherry here you could collect. Instead, I ended up putting a 1-up. Because I use the cherries for other purposes, being red coins in this game, or in this case, which you'll see when I go back to the main stage. And I couldn't put a red coin in here, otherwise you might be trapped and might not be able to get back in here. Now, speaking of being trapped, there's one major issue with this, and that's just, if the P-block time runs out, the door disappears and there's no way to get back, you're locked. So that's why I put in the failsafe, being a P-block that drops. Check this out. You hit the P-block, the door comes back. What happens if you're still dolling around? And you're still taking too long to get back? Well, wait for it. Wait for it. There's another P-switch that appears, not P-block, P-switch. So the way I accomplished this was by putting up a pair, or some conveyor belts above with P-switches on them. And whenever the P-switch is active, these actually won't move, which is perfect. So they're paused in time until the time expires, as you can see here. So really, if you fail at this point, that's on you. So you can get trapped if you wait too long and exhaust both P-switches, but yeah, that's really on you at this point. And I use a block here to level it out, otherwise the P-switch would go flying off into the wall here. Next, you can see how condensed my stage is. So in the game, this little sub-area doesn't scroll. It won't scroll at all. I had to mimic it by creating vertical walls here on both sides, so the screen won't scroll. And you can see how tightly it is. I have, right next to it is the end goal, and right above that is a Wart boss fight, which is crazy. You wouldn't even know it when playing. but I put the bricks below far enough that you can't see into the start area or the end, flag area. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. So that's Wart. So that's the this is the sub area. Then we have the cave, of course, which you take the door into, the locked door. Which, let's go ahead and head over here. So the locked door idea came from the fact that I needed cherries. I wanted a cherry replacement in this game, and I'm like, oh, red coins are red, and they are collectible, so that works. But then that left me with the problem of, well, if you collect all the red coins, you're left, you'll get a key. I'm like, well, what can you do with that key? Then I thought, maybe we can make this final door a locked door, and force you to, find all the red, all the cherries. But then it occurred to me that, well, it's not hard to find the cherries, so if we add one more, being at the very end here. Then I thought, that's a little bit too easy to get to still. So how about we add a giant Pokey? For one, we need Pokeys to fully evoke the feeling of Mario 2. And two, what if we make it a little bit taller than you can find in Mario 2? And that would really incentivize you to use the turtle mechanic to knock the Pokey, to knock it down enough so you can climb over it or jump over it. But there are multiple ways around the Pokey, because if you run out of space, for one, if you run out of space, you can always lure it over here and use a hill right here to jump over the Pokey. Secondly, if you carry the P-switch over, if I had a mushroom here, let me give myself a Mario 2 mushroom to do this. If you carry the P-switch over, you can just kill it that way too. So I gave more incentive to use the P-block, so I keep screwing it up. And just wipe out in one go. There's something else you may have noticed. Okay, well, something got screwed up there, but you'll see how that works. There's something else you may have noticed is I'm throwing mushrooms at you constantly, because one of the big things about the stage is that you're playing as Mario 2. So I didn't so much set out to make a difficult stage as to make a stage as true as possible to that game. So that's why I give you mushrooms behind every single locked door in the stage. Every warp pipe has one, every door, pretty much. You can see it here. If you go through the cave, the cave entrance will give you a mushroom. That way the music's always playing, you always have the throwing mechanic. So it is possible to lose it and die, but it's pretty difficult to do. But I still think the level still feels challenging in spite of that, and that's kind of fun. Alright, what else can I talk about here? Oh, the waterfall! This was the biggest headache for a while. I'm like, how in the heck can I replicate a waterfall? Also, as part of that too, because we're in the night, it's not, I forgot to mention, it's not just the night theme that gives you the hills, the green hills, it's also the forest theme. So that put us in the forest theme, which gave us this perpetual body of water, which for the most part you can't really see, and that worked out well, but it worked out perfectly for the waterfall segments, when you actually would want water to bomb. So that was actually a fortunate side effect of having to play in the jungle to get these green platforms, which almost no other theme style had besides underwater, which this level wouldn't work underwater, although we are talking about water here in general. So I finally arrived at the idea of like, well, what if I use these, use the icicles to drip water, make it look like a waterfall? So I originally had both waterfalls here, in the overworld segment. I had another waterfall over here too, but there was no bridge over the other waterfall, and in the original game, it was, you had to climb these, dropping platforms that emerged from the waterfall. And I couldn't find a good way to recreate it. I could have used moving platforms and a track, but none of them gave a good look or feel to it as in the original game. And there was also the problem was because there's no bridge, that the icicles didn't attach to anything, they're just floating in air, and it just felt weird and felt off. So I ended up needing more room anyway for my stage to cram everything in. So I ended up just ditching it entirely and just merging these hills with the first waterfall, and it ended up working well. I don't think anyone's really gonna notice I dropped a waterfall. A few other tweaks, I raised the hills here a little bit for two reasons. One, so that way you couldn't just straight up jump from the lower hill to the top hill, but I wanted to force you through the cave. One, to increase the gameplay, but also to make sure you have to get that red key, or the cherry red coin key, to force you through the Pokey and all that. Two, I raised the hill up here, that way you can't jump on top of the scenery, because if you could, then that'll break the look of my stage, exposing, actually, you know what, that actually kind of works anyway. So, alright, I guess I didn't have to do that, because I naturally reach the top here, but in case you didn't notice, I did have to, because I have to get you to this, for this next part, I have to get you into the vertical section, which meant using a warp pipe here, and I used a trick that I came up with way back, and I think it was first my Rainbow Cruise course in Super Mario Maker 1, based on Mario 64, where I would recreate one area in parts of one area in another to give the impression they're one continuous area. So we take the warp pipe up here, you're gonna see that we're gonna see the exact same scenery that we see here above. So note the position of the clouds and the position of the hills here, including the beanstalk extending through the warp pipe. It's exact, except for the fact that I had to cut off the sides, of course, and you have to ignore the ground wall I had just as a scroll stop. But otherwise, it's exact. And I love to, maybe it's just me, I love the detail of having the vine continue through the warp pipe. I don't know, I just really like that. It just works so well. It just feels like you're climbing up and down. Alright, next up, something I was trying to do for the longest time was, the thing is, even though Mario 2 is largely focused around a lot of vertical gameplay, it was very segmented in that it only either scrolled horizontally or scrolled vertically. So as part of that, which meant in the overworld section, like this section right here, the screen never actually, as far as I remember, didn't actually scroll vertically. So I tried to replicate that by originally having nothing in the top end of the stage and making it so the entire play area was in the lower field. But eventually, I realized I needed more room. It just wasn't going to work with the amount of room I had. And especially with the mechanics like me raising this mountain up here. So I ended up having to raise everything. And it ended up working. I don't think anyone's going to notice. Also, if you're wondering why these questions... I forget if I started talking about this. Like I said, I'm totally scattershot. I put these invisible blocks here to make sure you couldn't jump up to the scenery here. It's pretty much impossible to anyway. But in case you really wanted to try, I did that to prevent it. That way you can't jump up here and ruin, potentially ruin the scenery, which ended up being an issue. Woo! Alright, I'm so sorry. I'm all over the place here. So let's see. I already talked about, you can see this is the true start of the stage, the cave, which takes you to... Wait, did I even talk about this yet? I've tried recording this video so many times. I think I did. Maybe I didn't. But yeah, the cave takes you to the to the staircase you climb in the game. I think I did talk about this. Oh, so sorry everyone. But what's funny is right below this cave is... Did I point this out before? I'm so scattershot. I've tried recording this video 5 times now. But yeah, there's a Wart picture, the diagram, always like including those for the thumbnails. Adjacent to it though is the vertical section that Wart pipe we just took takes you to. And again, so this is where things get really complicated. So because the screen only scrolls vertically in vertical areas of Mario 2, I again had to make it scroll vertically with no real horizontal movement. And the way I accomplished that was by using the scroll stop right here, with a vertical wall going all the way up and down. So what that meant was, God, I am losing my mind here, everyone. So originally I tried cramming this Birdo section into. Let me go back real quick. Again, this is a complete disaster of a video, so I'm so sorry for this. How do I? God, I hate these controls. So originally, for the longest time, I had the Birdo section crammed into this top left corner here, but it wasn't big enough, and if you jump from here, you could see it, and then if you fell off of it, then you fell into this area, which meant, the start of the stage just meant I had to find some way to block that off, and it just didn't work. It didn't feel good. So, that's when I had the idea of putting it into the vertical section, which we'll go back to. Right down here. Now that introduced a major issue because the Birdo area is actually pretty big in a horizontal space, and that meant I needed to find some way to make it scroll horizontally. Even though for most of the stage I had it so it wouldn't scroll horizontally. I made it explicitly so it was vertical scrolling only by again using the blocks here. I needed it for both this segment at the very start where you drop to the terrain from the first door, and then also for again climbing up the vine to Birdo. So the way I accomplished that is by putting this giant stack of bricks, destroyable bricks, hard blocks, and then stacking them with the bombs that as soon as they appear on screen or as soon as they get close, they spawn, and then they all detonate simultaneously. So this took a lot of practice, or a lot of trial and error. This is a technique, by the way, I first used in my Super Meat Boy Forever stage. I used something similar. This one's a little bit more, I don't know about sophisticated, but it's a little bit more intricate. Because in that one, I used tracks to have the bomb spawn at the right time and time it right. But this time, because of the amount of area I have to explode, I had to have the bricks go all the way to the top of the screen, through the cave segment, as you can see here, all the way to the top, up to the shortcut area, which we'll get to in a moment, which is something John didn't show off fully, by the way, so we'll get to that in a second. So, to make this work, I had to put in a giant tower of bombs. They're all actually stacked on top of each other, because as long as the bomb one spawns first, they'll all spawn together. Otherwise, if they're not connected, they don't spawn at the same time. And you have a bunch of bombs exploding at the wrong time, or one after another. It just didn't work, and there were bombs dropping everywhere. So I discovered that stack does spawn together, and that will they'll clear out. And you won't see any bricks remaining at all, and that gets us to the Birdo fight. And speaking of Birdo, this was another whole issue here of how to replicate Birdo. It had to, of course, be a few things. One, it had to have a way of replicating the eggs, so you can jump on the eggs and use them as projectiles. So I realized quickly that the cannon would be the best way to accomplish that, better than even the Bullet Bill launcher. I love also the music appears and it shows the Birdo spirit possessing it. So then I had to find an enemy to put the cannon on, and I learned that the new Mecha Koopas are actually perfect for it. So I went with the blue one because the green one walks off the edge, which I didn't want. The blue ones stay on the platform like Birdo. And then also the red one with its homing missiles were really just obnoxious and kind of took away from the fight completely, with you riding on the eggs to avoid to kind of like avoid the battle. So I thought having this this laser guy was perfect to give you something to dodge. It kind of ramped up the difficulty a little bit. And yeah, I thought it was really fun and really complemented the idea of Birdo. I had this Wart pipe here spinning mushrooms constantly because you need mushrooms to beat Birdo, obviously. So let's go ahead and beat Birdo real quick. Again. And I love that it drops a key instead of an orb, like in the game. And we'll use it on the bird door here. Okay, so we have to. I use a door again, but I wanted the door to get you to a warp type to take you to the boss fight, which again is in the horizontal section. Now I had to figure out how to recreate Wart. So of course I had the music on him, where I love again you see the spirit of Wart taking over a Koopaling. So I decided to use a Koopaling. For a few reasons. One is that it gets 3 hits, just like Wart. 2, this one's green, which I loved, because it looks, again, pretty Wart-esque. And 3, it was a new enemy, so I kind of like that. It felt different to what we'd seen before in Mario Maker and in, obviously, Mario 2. Now, for recreating Wart, the whole idea was you use vegetables that pop out of the machine, which you can see here. I recreate in the middle using Wart pipes instead of, whatever machine it had in the original, and red blocks to mimic the look of the machine itself. But then the biggest issue was figuring out how do you make it so you have to throw things at it, because otherwise you could just get hit and then just jump on the Koopaling and the battle's over. And also I had to find some way to keep the Koopaling on that platform without jumping off of it, because otherwise the Koopaling could just leave, unlike Wart, who would stay on that platform there. So I killed 2 birds with 1 stone. I put in these spike traps, which accomplishes multiple things. One, it creates a barrier that thankfully the Koopaling can still attack you through with its wand, which is actually remarkably similar to the like water bubbles that Wart would spit, and they don't get interfered with, which is perfect. 2, it makes it so you can't get in there yourself really, without taking damage and potentially dying, which is great. And I guess that's basically it. So maybe 2 things it accomplishes. Anyways, now another issue I had was originally I had a smaller Koopaling, but he after like multiple battles with this guy, I realized that, or discovered that if you hit him, oh wait, I forgot the third one was right. This actually forces you to throw the vegetables into it. So again, yeah, it accomplished multiple things. Now throwing vegetables is a little bit tricky in this game compared to the original, but I like that. Again, this is a nightmare. I've gotten pretty good at it now, but I'm kind of screwing it up right now at the moment. There we go, look at that. I love that! Oh, I'm so happy I came across this. But originally it was a small Koopaling. I discovered after you hit him, every now and then he could actually pop between, when he was in the shell form, he actually popped between the spikes. So I'm like, oh, how do I fix this? I'm like, oh, I'll just give him a mushroom, and it actually makes him closer to Wart size anyway, and makes him more menacing at the same time. So that worked out. So let's go ahead and try to beat Wart real quick so we can head to the final part of the stage. So again, I do throw mushrooms at you constantly. That way you can, so this boss fight is beatable. Let's see how quickly I can do it. Yeah, I got one. It's I was so happy about that. And I think you can't hit him through either of the openings, either of the lower two openings. I don't think you can get him through the top one at all. Maybe. Oh man, this guy still gives me trouble. There we go. I had to cut down John's fight quite a bit. There we go, got it. All right. Whew. Okay, so after he beat Wart, I had to find some way to conclude the stage. I always like beginning a stage and ending a stage with a story when possible. And the solution I came up with was something I discovered by mistake. I discovered that you can actually dig through these clouds. And I'm like, oh, that replicates the sand mechanic from the desert level perfectly. So I had the idea of, what if you were in a dream, like the clouds represent like the dream space, and you're like slowly working your way back to consciousness, which is what the lights represent. You're working your way toward like awakeness. And it culminates with that beacon of light. And now you can see we're approaching the Magic Kingdom again. We're seeing more conventional warp pipes and mushrooms. And speaking of mushrooms, we head through the warp pipe. We head back to the Magic Kingdom, and we have mushrooms here all over the platform, again indicating the Mushroom Kingdom. So as John noted correctly at the start, you begin as NES Mario or Mario 1 Mario before you head through the initial into the cave through the door, which is when you first get the Mario 2 mushroom. And I did that for two reasons. One, thematically, it ties it, it shows you you're in a dream now, and also the music, the Mario 2 music doesn't start until you actually get that mushroom. I didn't want the music to start while you're outside of the official dream. So yeah, so once you go through the doors, when the music starts. Oh, all right, everyone. There's so much more I could talk about. Oh, we didn't show the shortcut here. So let's do that real quick. Let's show the. We need to go to the. So we do have this little blank area down here, by the way, which is technically more space we could have used, except for one problem. Because once the wall gets destroyed, that means, the wall with all the bombs above I showed you earlier, this area is a scrollable area now. So I had to keep it blank so I didn't ruin the immersion too much. So that's why it's totally blank. And also, originally, I had it so you had free movement in this section where you can move anywhere. But once I realized the bombs destroy the stop scroll, I made it so you're trapped in here and there's only one way to go. And which kind of works out. That way you're not trapped too long and you figure out what you have to do. Alright. Final thing, which was... Oh my god, let's just go up this way. Alright, so I retained the shortcut through the stage from Mario 2. Because again, it's such a huge part of the stage. And let's just go all the way back. So that's a little bit of a spoiler, you can see how I did it there. So yeah, true, I recreated just like in the actual game. I added another bomb here, because the timing on these bombs is a little bit tricky, especially with my, plucking mechanic and everything. So I give you one additional chance in the game itself. Hey, we got first time that time. I put a mushroom there just in case. And now we'll head through the warp pipe. And so right now the screen's not scrolling because of that brick there. And I did that because, again, I needed the scroll stop to be in place for everything else in the stage. So to get around that, I added another bomb up there just like before, where if you give it a few seconds, it'll explode and open the way for you. So, and then I'll take you... Oh, and also, as you can tell, I lopped off the top level of bricks to make it appear as if you're going along the top of the screen, as close as possible like in the original game. So then we take the door here, and then you drop down, you can't see it from down here once you're in the battle, and that takes you to Birdo. Whoa, what a convoluted mess this explanation was. I'm so sorry, everyone. I'm not good at these off-the-cuff explanations when it comes to my creations. There's so many ideas I have going through it that I, try and figure out how to make this all work. But hopefully you enjoyed this stage, at least watching it. And please play it and, give it a like if you enjoyed it. I'd really appreciate it. I spent so much stupid time on this stage. Again, you can use the code on the screen right now or in the description below. And yeah, I think I finally covered everything. I also added another waterfall here, as you can tell, using the, there's a waterfall in the game. And even though they can hit you, it's not too much of an issue. And again, the water works out perfectly down below. And I think that's it. Alright, I'm done here, everyone. So if you have any more questions for me, feel free to leave them in the comments below. But let me know what you think, what you thought of my stage, and how close I got to the original mechanics. And yeah, with that, everyone, I will catch you later. Thanks for watching, and make sure to hit subscribe if you haven't already. Alright, bye, everyone.